Welcome everyone, Friar Tuck. This is my epoch. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about today is PTSD and dealing with it while you're homeless. But this isn't going to be like a whole sob story or, you know, this is how hard it's going to be or anything else like that. If that's what you think this is going to be, no. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you my journey, my path, and how I've gotten to a point where it's no longer a factor in my life like it used to be. Now, I'm always going to deal with it because, you know, when you have, PTSD or anything else like that, it's trauma related. It's a specific situational experience. It's very similar to shell shock, but, you know, instead of being constantly exposed to it out on the battlefield like soldiers, it's a quick instant that creates a mental break in a human being. Okay, and so anybody can suffer from it, but depending upon the experience and the trauma, tells you how extreme it's going to be. One of the first things I learned about PTSD is that as a part of your personal self-defense mechanism, you get an opportunity, or you not even get an opportunity. What you end up doing is you control your environment. So for me, because I thought I was in a safe place and I wasn't, and I thought I could trust, but I couldn't, and I almost lost my life in the process because I had a false sense of security. So that means I'm going to control my environment, and I'm going to make sure that I'm aware of everything that's going on around me, so that when the if something happens, I am not operating under a false sense of security. So in a lot of ways, I don't really trust anyone or anything. It's very hard for me because of that. But this is the effects of what PTSD will do to you, depending upon your trauma. Now, one thing that you need to really realize, and this is going to be something where you do some self-reflection and become more aware of yourself, because the more you become aware of yourself, the easier it is to understand not only what it is that's going on with you, but to be able to compensate for it. Just like I have one leg that's just long enough, longer than the other, that gives me what looks like a limp. But that's just because my left leg is probably about a 1/4 inch longer than my right leg. And so that's why you always see me hobbling. So what do? I compensate that. So when I go to a slope, I do a slope that favors my long leg. That is compensation. You're going to do the same thing with your PTSD. Once you understand that and kind of how that works, you'll be able to start looking at yourself and going, okay, how am I compensating? What was the actual trauma that was there? Because I can say, oh yeah, it was a gun that went off on me. But no, it wasn't really the gun going off on me. That was the experience. But the overall interpretation psychologically, because of the way our brains work, how fast they work, plus things that are built into us instinctually, that's not really what it was. I trusted when I shouldn't have trusted. I had a false sense of security. And because of that false sense of security, I almost lost my life. And so therefore, when I look at it, I have to come at it from that point in time. So therefore, I look at my environment as a place where I can, where I have to control it to the point to where I can ensure that I have no false sense of security, because I live by the motto, if it is to be, it is up to me. Okay? So that's the first thing. Now, my grandfather, about, almost 15 years ago, I asked him, I said, you're a Vietnam vet. How did you do this? How were you able to get over everything that you saw and did in Vietnam? Because he did 2 tours, and he did some stuff that he's not allowed to talk about because it's still classified to this day. You get the usual deathbed confessions and you're always shocked. But, I asked him, he's like, yeah, we sat in a group, we talked with like-minded individuals, we shared our stories, we found camaraderie. But what you learn is that when you have something that goes on, okay, so whatever your trauma is, basically what it is, what's happening when you're having an episode, we'll call it, basically what's happening, come on, Sam, basically what's happening is that you are, morning guys, is that you are like replaying that experience. It's like a movie that just constantly keeps going, and subconsciously your movie is going on. It is going on in in your head as you're re-experiencing the trauma, because, you know, let's say in my sense, oh, well, I thought I was safe again. I realized I wasn't safe, so therefore it triggered me. So now I get to replay that in my head all the time. And then what that does is it creates a whole bunch of other side effects from the fear, the anxiety, and the, you know, continued re-exposure to the trauma. Okay? So what my grandfather explained to me that you have to do is that that movie, when it's playing, you need to rewrite the script. Okay? Come on, Sam, let's go. You need to rewrite the script. Okay? What that means is that, okay, so if I, when I go through a situation and, you know, I thought I was in a safe place, you know, some dude gets, you know, upset, stuff like that, makes me a little edgy, because now I'm thinking, okay, is this place as safe as I thought? Well, at this point in time, this is my chance to rewrite that movie, is to sit there and look and go, I'm safe now. That was an experience at that time, but that doesn't mean that that's going to happen every time. And so therefore, that's where behavior training comes in. That's just where reprogramming your mind comes in, because it's important that, that you take the moment to reprogram your mind, okay? And, you know, between the self-awareness and just being thoughtful and contemplating, and, you know, that may mean go walk 1,000 miles, because you need to hear your thoughts. If you can't hear your thoughts, if you're not able to process your thoughts, especially if you're dealing with PTSD, well, then you're just making it worse, and it will never be fixed. You've got to listen to those thoughts. You really got to listen to those thoughts, and you're going to have to deal with them, no matter how scary, no matter how bad, no matter how many nights they're going to keep you up. You've got to deal with them, because once you get done dealing with them, once you get over there and you actually reprogram your mind and you become aware of yourself, and you sit there and you know, get to live your life again, okay, it's going to change a lot of things. So you guys have heard me talk about how they misdiagnosed me for like 25 years. They were saying I had panic attacks, but now it's adrenal gland issue, like a hyperactive adrenal gland. Okay, so how was my PTSD affecting that? Well, the first time I had an adrenal rush, which I was like 15, 16 years old, I thought that, I thought it was an act of God. I thought it was divine, I thought it was divine intervention, but it wasn't. It was so much adrenaline running through my body that I got superhuman strength, and I was able to do things that I never thought a human being could do. And it was kind of awesome, you know. But then with the PTSD, what that would do is that would automatically trigger the increase in adrenaline. So therefore, every time I would have a trigger for my PTSD, it would trigger my adrenaline to the point to where I would come to a point, I'd black out, become dangerous, become hostile. So therefore, my PTSD took something else that is physically wrong with me. Samantha, get your butt over here now. You know, take something that's physically wrong with me and do it that way. But, you know, it is what it is. The best way to really, I'm trying to articulate this in a relatable way for you guys, and I'm trying. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If there's something that you think I need to clarify on or give a little bit more in depth, but basically, I've gotten enough control over the PTSD that I deal with. Samantha, come here now. Over the PTSD that I deal with, that I don't really. When I have a lot more control over the adrenal rushes that I have. Yes, I'm still going to get triggered into them, but I'm self-aware enough to where I can see it coming, and I can remind myself that I'm not in danger, that everything is okay, that the world is okay. And so instead of blacking out like I used to all the time, I rarely black out. It's just generally when something gets a little too out of control, and it puts me into that, like, I do not feel safe, and there's nothing that I can do about that. Okay. But at the end of the day, it's the self-awareness. It is the reprogramming of the mind. It is listening to your thoughts and just taking a moment to relax. Okay. This might be, you know, if you're a veteran, this is what the VA specializes in. I mean, This is a byproduct of your environment, of the job in which you do, especially if you're a police officer, same thing. Okay, so those are the guys that you want to sit back and talk to and have a conversation with, especially if you've had some hairy situations. Now, don't expect them to have sympathy for you because they've been through their own stuff. And well, you know what? We all have our cross to bear. So don't expect anybody to feel sorry for you. It's not about feeling sorry. What it is, it's about getting it off your chest and processing it, because sometimes, you know, you have no one to talk to about it and you just need to cry it out. I mean, I know it sounds weak, it sounds unmasculine, but, you know, we as men, we put ourselves through a lot of shit. And sometimes you just need to have that buddy or that friend or that partner or just that space to just sit there and cry it out, get the emotions out of your system. Once the emotions are out of your system, then you can pick up the pieces and start moving on. But that takes self-awareness, and that takes taking time to process this. So you guys know how to help the channel. Everything's down in the description. Become a subscriber, join the memberships, all that stuff. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.